Cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the.
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You want to lose your league?
Our league. Check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
What up? What up? What up, world? We are back. I'm Anthony, aka Rasta, and this is Get Right Fantasy Network. I'm here with my boy Fish and Frank after this Monday Night Football game. Frank, week 2 is done. How you doing? How your team's hanging in there so far?
Oh man, I had a rough week, I gotta admit. But in my main league, home league here, I'm doing well. Sitting pretty at 2-0 now with the highest point scored 2 weeks in a row. So I'm happy about that. But the rest of the way was rough. I even left some injured guys on the roster. You know, that whole thing. Too many leagues this year, unfortunately.
Ooh.
So.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. There's a couple spots I left Raheem Mostert in there because I didn't get to my lineups for Thursday night. I had an event at work. So, of course, had to do that first. But, yeah, I mean, didn't have that great of a week. There were a couple guys that just kind of basically won people their weeks this week. A lot of big performances I'm sure we'll get into here throughout the show. A lot of injuries, man. This thing has been completely brutal. So we're definitely going to get into some of that injury news and notes here as well, too. Of course, we will discuss some of the risers and fallers here this week, guys that are stock is going up and stock that's going down. And, of course, we'll get into the top waiver wire ads for this week as well. Try to stick to folks that are around 65% rostered or less. And then, of course, we'll take your questions. So if you have any questions, comments, let us know how you did this week. Drop them here in the chat, or if you're watching this later, let us know in the comment section. And we'll get back to you and interact with you there. Make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe button for us as well. And Frank, why don't you tell the folks that are new here, what our show schedule is here in season.
But you didn't tell us how you did this week, though. How was your?
I was like 9-8, man. It wasn't a great week.
Well, you know what sucks though is.
Oh no, not even that. I was worse then. I was like 9 and what do I have? 19 leagues, so 9-10. That's bad. That's
it. Yeah.
But I was still going off of 17 leagues.
League, man.
Oh yeah, and that was one of them. And I'm completely out of the 18 league, so I'm only in 18 leagues now moving forward. So.
Well, there you go. At least you have that going for you, right? It's
I knew I was done on Thursday night. Yeah, I knew I was done on Thursday when Josh Allen didn't do anything. Yeah. And of course, you guys know I lost the bid. I mean, I'm glad I did. I mean, I could have spent $1,000 on Jonathan Taylor wasn't saving me, so, or Brian Robinson. So, there was nothing I could do. It's part of the 18 spot.
Here's what we got. Unfortunately, I just wanted to mention that because it is.
No, you got to rub it in, because I would talk shit if you were out. So I would do it too. You got to give it to me.
But yeah, no, that's all good, man. Unfortunately, he does have to. He's the manager of the league, so he has to be involved in it. Regardless, that's the worst part of it all.
No, it's actually the best part because I'm the one who's going to be removing everyone's players from their teams all year. So at least I feel like I'm doing something. Right? Yeah, I'm like the Reaper for sure now.
Nice. Well, I'm waiting to see what happens this week, especially with all the auction bids that are going to happen.
Yeah,
but if you are new to the show here, let's get you familiarized here. We're here on Monday nights, with Rasta here and myself. And we're doing the overreaction Monday show, so we check everything out that we want to see during the Sunday's game and the Monday night game, and just kind of see just kind of overreact. Honestly, sometimes you would just gotta wait, especially about some of these injuries and things like that. The guys actually played during the week. So we're gonna recap some of the games, discuss definitely the top waiver wire ads for week 3. So let's we get that here a little bit later. Tuesdays, we're doing Tycoon is hosting the Fantasy Boardroom, 7 p.m. Pacific time here. Wednesday nights, we got Rasta and myself again. and we're doing the roster management and trade talk show. Also discussing buy, sell trades and hold targets. We're checking that out. And then on Thursdays at 4 p.m., we got Phil hosting the Extra Point leading into the Thursday night football. And then Friday, Friday we got one show at 6 p.m., one show at 8 p.m. The 6 p.m. show's got Mike and Kendall doing the must start sit starts for players on that week. And then the second part of the show starts at 8 with Rasta and Phil. And they're doing, again, still more weekly sit starts and, players on that. So, yeah, that's basically our lineup here so far on Fridays. Saturday, we're bringing up coming soon is the Sweet Life with Cody McGoats, Jack and Cody actually here. Sunday mornings, Mike's always holding it down with the active, inactive, sit starts, Q&A, and the casual DFS lineups. So please remember to like, subscribe, check us out, get the notifications so that you're alerted because we got a weekly, whole week lineup here for you guys. So if you're missing one show, definitely come back. We're trying to add the timestamps for you. So in case you want to hear about something and you want to know about something, please check it out. But the description, links are in the description for some of our partners. Our partners here are, the Extra Point with the Tavern, the Fantasy Football Tavern, and the Boardroom. So all of them are down here, down below. So again, check out the timestamps, the chapters, and let's check it out. So what do we got new here for the channel there, Ant?
Yeah, man. So, I was just about to say we got a couple people here in the chats as people are trickling in here. It is a little late. That was on me. But we're a little late here tonight, but we still won't miss the show for you. He says Drake London, Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs. So just like this, if you have any questions, drop them in here. We will have a whole Q&A section at the end. But because Divi Duel, I haven't seen you before. Hopefully, he does subscribe for us. And if you do want your just question answered right away when we're in the middle of the show, you can drop a super chat. You can leave a comment in the description if you're watching this later on and not live, and we'll answer it there as well too. So again, feel free to send us a super chat as well, or just leave your question, and we'll get to it in the Q&A section down below. But we'll answer this one here real quick, Frank. So Drake London, Aaron Jones for Josh Jacobs,
And Pollard.
Oh, and Pollard. Oh, that's different. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he kind of had that, and then he added the and Pollard down here.
I mean, if you had like CMC and you're like hurting and you don't have any other running backs, and maybe add CMC and like Pacheco or something like that, then yeah, I would take this. These are two guys, that I'm feeling good about their situations. Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard, with the usage that he's getting there and how he looks in Tennessee, looks completely different. Looking more like that guy towards the second half of the season. So I wouldn't mind this, but I do like what I saw out of Drake London tonight in this game, obviously catching the game-winning touchdown. That offense starting to look a little better. So I think, again, you can't overreact one way or another. Obviously, it's part of what we do. But yeah, I mean, I don't hate it given the landscape of running back, which we'll get into here soon when we start talking about injuries. So what do you think, Frank?
So does he mean he's getting Josh Jacobs and Pollard? Like, I don't know sure which side he's on.
Yeah. So, well, I just answer it either way. Like, it shouldn't matter which way it goes. Like,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I don't know.
It's like in a vacuum.
Is on the rise right now. I did like the game. Their offense is going to get better. Obviously, they had that terrible first game. Even they talked to Kirk Cousins right after the game. He's, we're still not 100, like clicking 100%, but they were able to march that ball down the field like no problem on that last run. I haven't seen too much of Aaron Jones this year, but Josh Jacobs looks fire. Pollard looks like he's in good form this year. So I think it all depends on your needs. Do you need a running back situation because somebody else is hurt, or you got some situation where you need extra running backs? Then I'd take the Josh Jacob Pollard side. If you need the wide receiver, then I'd go with Drake London side.
Yeah, you probably drafted Drake London as your wide receiver one, so it is hard to give that up. But again, if you had somebody else go down,
trading London. He's trading London. So yeah, I mean, like I said, if you need the right receiver, I wouldn't mind keeping London. It's a very even trade, is what I think.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think your upsides are there with Drake London, Josh Jacobs, and your average Joes or Aaron Jones and Pollard with some upside. So that's good. good even trade. Nobody's getting up too much on the other person. It just depends on what their needs are. And I think if the other guy needs the running backs
Yeah,
more than you do, and you're trading away London, then you're needing the running back. So I think that you're coming up some. You'll be all right.
for sure, for sure. So we have Ravens in here saying, "What's up?"
If I keep London, should I start him over JSN week 3? Yeah, I would start him over JSN.
Yeah, you're still starting London over Jason. Although I really like Jason. And then we saw what we're what I was kind of talking about all offseason with Jason, and that offense that Ryan Grubb's trying to bring over there, using Jason in a couple different ways. We saw what happened, and this is kind of that progression maybe we're seeing with him maybe taking over instead of locking again. You can't overreact. It's one game. We want to see more of it, but at least we've seen it. Once you see it once, it can happen. So let's just keep on seeing it. So there we go. So keep dropping your questions in there. We see them rolling in. We will get to our live Q&A section again. If you want us to stop, you can. What we're doing, you can drop us a super chat. Again, if you can't stick with us through the whole show, you can just use the chapter. Come back, watch it later in the morning. If you guys are going to bed, just go to the live Q&A section, and you'll have your question answered there. So keep them dropping in there. Again, we will see them. Again, we don't want you guys thinking we're ignoring you. But let's get into the show, man. So we have just a couple things here as far as I think I did the banners tonight. So let's see for our timestamps. Timestamp me up here, Frank.
Oh, okay. I got you.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right. So here we go. We'll talk news topics and injury updates. I'll just edit that part out. News topics and injury updates. Injuries week 2 were pretty brutal, like I was talking about at the top. We have a lot of the hip drop controversy kind of going on here. So that's just kind of interesting. What's your quick take on these hip drop tackles? We also obviously Joe Mixon, which we'll get into here in a second, was complaining, had something to say about it. Jamar Chase gets a costly flag. And it came out that that's what he was arguing about. He wasn't thinking pass interference or something like that. He was talking about a potential hip drop tackle. And of course, with him not getting signed, that's super important because he doesn't want to get his foot broken or high ankle sprain or something in a potential extension here. So what are your thoughts here quickly on the hip drop tackle?
I think that the reason they came up with this rule and the situation to keep the players safe is important. I mean, this game is rough enough as it is. I think that sometimes it's kind of unavoidable. I don't think that people are doing it on purpose necessarily to even injure anybody. Same thing like with the horse collar that they did, but obviously when
Right.
their statistics speak for themselves and the numbers don't lie when people are getting injured during this certain type of plays and this is happening. You know what I mean? That's why they don't want people taking hits to the head anymore, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So obviously this is another
Keep the
situation
best
where
players on the field.
yeah, this is another situation where it's like just detrimental for the gameplay. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. If you get penalized for it, and especially like you said, Joe Mixon just got injured because of it and everything else. So
So put your money where your mouth is.
yeah, you gotta keep
Fine him.
play clean, play to the rules that you have at the time. Basically,
There we
it
go.
used to be different back in the day. Now it is. This is your new set. So play to the
Just
rules you have.
adjust, right?
Yeah,
There it
exactly.
is.
Just adjust.
All right. So our other little news topic here, we have the Panthers. News came out today that they are benching their number 1 overall pick in Bryce Young, and are turning over to the veteran Andy Dalton starting this week. So they feel like Andy's going to give them the best chance to win. Casales is saying that, of course, Bryce is still our guy. Just maybe he needs to chill out, sit back, learn something from the Red Rifle. So it's Red Rifle time here in Carolina already after week 2. So obviously coaches are playing for their job, and feels like maybe if he's on the hot seat, he's going to go down winning games, and try to prove maybe to the other owners that he could still coach if he has a competent quarterback. So a lot of gesturing and posturing there. What's your quick take on the Panthers benching Bryce?
That's just coach speak for like we need to get some wins because the team looks terrible. Bryce Young hasn't been doing well, and I think the experiment's over. I was even hoping that maybe he could bounce back this year, but obviously he couldn't. And some guys basically need that extra time, and I think most the quarterbacks do. You need to sit back and watch a veteran sometimes, and it helps learning
Right.
the plays, helps with just being around the NFL, you know everything. You know what I mean? Like everything that has to do with the the training, the coaching, the practices, the everything that's faster. The guys, and I think that helps the young players absorb it a little bit better. I mean, some guys do well, but there's few and far between. You know what I mean? That do you know just come right in and kick butt like C.J. Stroud did or somebody. You know what I mean? And Mahomes maybe. There's everybody else. Like they struggled. It's a learning curve here in the NFL. So I don't think that's a bad deal. Hopefully he comes back, gets another opportunity, and does better.
Yeah. All right, so we'll run through the carnage that happened here this weekend.
Yes.
We won't even talk about the guys that were out kind of previously. I may mention them here real quick, but let's just try to run through this quick as you can. Of course, you can feel free to stop me if you want, but I'm sure when we start talking waiver, a lot of this is going to get brought up again, and we'll probably still have that conversation. So we have Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Seems like a long time ago now, but on Thursday, suffering that concussion. Of course, he's in the concussion protocol, says he's doing better. He's in the building, taking it day by day. Came out over the weekend that he's not looking at retirement at all. So he expects to come back and play this season, or at least once he's medically cleared. So we'll keep an eye on that. We have Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco came out today. We saw him leave in the walking boot this weekend, but comes out he has a fractured fibula. Looks like he's expected to be placed on the IR, but it could miss even more time. They're expecting at least 6 to 8 weeks before he could potentially return towards the end of the season. So that's, like almost come playoff time. Maybe you'll get a couple games in there before you have to decide to put him in there or not. You have Cooper Kupp. He left in a walking boot as well, dealing with an ankle issue. They're saying Sean McVay came out and said he's going to be a potential IR candidate and will miss significant time. So Cooper Kupp, you'll be without him, obviously already with Puka Nacua there. So I'm sure we'll talk about that here. Yeah, they're just, and not to mention 3 linemen down. I mean, a couple defensive guys. I mean, it's just, they've been just suffering some brutal injuries. You hate to see it. We have 49ers wide receiver came out later today. I didn't even know this was kind of happening. But Deebo Samuel dealing with the calf strain, and they've already said he's missing a couple weeks. Like they're like there's no chance. Like he's already out a couple weeks, so they'll be without him. Eagles wide receiver AJ Brown, of course, did not play tonight in tonight's game. Came out right before kickoff that he's expected to miss multiple weeks as well, showing up with that hamstring injury on Friday's practice. So we'll definitely keep our eyes on that. A lot of just big names, man, going down. A lot of fantasy relevant guys. Yeah, next is Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson dealing with a quad contusion. At least the injuries are going to start getting a little easier now. I started kind of with the more brutal ones, but it says he's feeling pretty good, and they're saying he's day to day, but he's already come out and said he's playing. He just got basically like a Charlie horse, basically. So Texans running back, we talked about it. Joe Mixon dealing with that ankle injury after being potentially hip drop tackled. He did actually return to the game, if you guys remember, of course. Watching last night, so but they're not saying he's for sure playing this week. They're saying it's no clear timetable. They're going to evaluate him, but Mixon sounds like he wants to play, but they may sit him, and they're expected to do. Yeah, they're expected to do a lot. They have the firepower to be without Joe. Just play a little. Could be very exciting offense actually if they actually completely unleash it. So we'll see. Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown, another first round guy. Luckily he's going to be fine. They're calling it a lower leg soft tissue injury. Campbell's being real kind of weird and fishy about it. They're saying he's okay. The only soft tissue thing I know that's in the lower leg is a calf, and we just seen all these other guys, Debo, CMC, they're out weeks with a lower leg injury. So I don't know, or a strain or soft tissue. Like again, I don't know. Everything else below the knee is hard except for the calf. So it's either the calf or the hamstring or the quad. Like those are the only tissues on your lower legs. I mean, I'm not a physical therapist or anything, but it's still not what you want to hear out of a first round pick. So we'll see what happens. Again, they're saying he will be fine. Just again, still cautious. Bucks running back Rachaad White left the game early, dealing with the groin injury. They're saying he should be good though. But again, you have Bucky Irving, just waiting in the weeds. Titans running back Tajay Spears left. They're considering him day to day, nothing serious, dealing with the ankle injury suffered in the Sunday's game. And then you have a little bit of serious issue with the Saints quarterback, tight end, running back, whatever you want to call him, Taysom Hill. dealing with the chest injury, was actually taken to the hospital where he was evaluated and released and is doing good now. Flew back to New
Yeah, I'm not sure
Orleans.
how he got injured, but he just like showed up out of like, hey, I need to go to the
No, he
hospital.
went like to the hospital. He left the game early, went
Did
straight
he
to the
have a car
hospital.
accident or
So
something? When somebody hit him in practice, or what happened to that guy?
no,
I don't know. It was just
it
weird.
was it hit him in the chest. Like maybe he just got a helmet to the chest or something crazy. Maybe he thought it was a sternum or something.
Yeah.
Ribs, sometimes they'll call it ribs, chest injury. Yeah, so I don't know, but they're saying he avoided anything real serious, maybe like a punctured lung or something like that. Could be the concern. Remember that happened to Brandon Marshall
Yeah.
when he was
Oh,
playing
yeah.
with the Bears. So hopefully he'll be all right. You have Jags tight end who suffered a hamstring pregame. Didn't even know it even happened. They're saying he's considered day to day, but he'll probably be out at least another week if it happened late in the game. Doubt he gets any practice this week. And then you have Ferguson. They said he was real close to playing, but the expectation is for him to be back this week. So that's
The
your
only,
injury
like,
news and
shiny note
notes.
at the end there, right? It's like, he should be back.
Yeah. So he should be back. So that try to leave off on some good news there. Hopefully. So any comments to any of that? I mean, we'll probably get into some of it here.
Well,
Maybe.
honestly, not to say that's good. I mean, but all injuries are bad. We don't want people to go down. But this helps, I think, a little bit there for Brandon Ayuk over there with the 49ers. I've been waiting for this guy to step up, and obviously he was holding out and didn't get enough practice or whatever. So this hopefully maybe this pushes it forward that timetable a little bit more, because he's going to have to be targeted a little bit more while Devo's out, right? And Christian McCaffrey's out, so he was another pass catcher as well. So, but then again, that probably means they're going to be double teaming him. So who knows? Maybe get look at some WR2s over there in San Francisco. See what's going on. And then also wanted to mention, which is a little side note, because Jordan Mason on the interview, I mean, because he mentioned, oh, I knew on Friday, but McCaffrey didn't come out till game time decision basically or whatever. So he got them in trouble for not disclosing that he wasn't going to play at all.
No, they didn't get in trouble at all. They didn't invest. That was like last week. We talked about that last week.
Yeah,
That
but
wasn't this week.
well, I know
They
I
did a
thought
whole
that.
investigation and they didn't get fined or nothing. They
No,
found
no,
nothing
no,
wrong
okay,
with
well, good
anything.
for them, man. I guess.
Yeah, don't be throwing those allegations out there.
I thought it was. I thought it wasn't settled yet.
No.
But yeah, that's sort of Justin Jefferson. Good for that dude went out. I was watching that game as
Ugh.
well. Ooh, that was kind of scary. He was limping around for a while. It did look more than just uh like like you're saying a Charlie horse or whatever. It looked a little bit more serious. And obviously that for that kind of guy, and he was having a decent game, so it was tough to see him
Decent
go
game.
out.
He
Yeah,
was
no.
destroying us.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But,
97-yard touchdown. That's outrageous.
yeah, but I mean,
You
that's what
literally
I'm saying.
can
Could
only
you
get like
imagine if he
3
had
ticks better
finished?
than that.
Imagine if he had finished the game, though. You know what I mean? Because he went out pretty, like, I think,
Nah,
in
it was
half.
over. It was over.
But he still could have got more. To my point.
Yeah.
I'm on Ross St. Bound, another guy that I'm like really worried about. Like, wait, you know what I mean? Like you're saying, the soft tissue. Like, what's really going on over there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they're trying
Hopefully
to play
it's
it down
nothing.
some as
I mean,
well.
hopefully
Yeah.
it's nothing.
Hopefully, yeah. But I don't know. I think they're just trying to play it down some.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into it, man. Let's talk some risers and fallers. So week 2 risers and fallers, and then we'll get into our top waiver ads for the week, and then we'll get into your guys' questions. So we see the questions coming in. Make sure you leave them there. If you want us to get to your question right away, you can drop us a super chat. It doesn't have to be much, but just get our attention. Let us know, and we'll answer your question right away. If not, just leave it there in the chat. We will get to it in the live Q&A section. So you can always watch it back later, or hopefully just hang out with us until we get there. So Frank, let's talk some week 2 week 2 risers and fallers. Let's get to it. So give me your number one, or when I say risers and fallers, give me one of your risers that you have this week. Who did you feel
let's start with
rose?
QB, since we're let's
Well, I did mine just by position. Like we're not doing by position. It's just I just want your top 3 risers, regardless of position.
I didn't do that way. But that's okay. I got guys in each position. I would say Sam Darnold. 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT, 5 rushes for 32 yards. People were counting him out. He's just a backup, but he came out and put a pretty good game together there. So I think him was definitely a big riser in QB world.
Is he someone you would consider starting in like a one QB league, or is he still just more like you feel a little more comfortable with him as like a QB 2, 3 in a super flex
I think
league, or
I'm moving towards QB starting situation. Definitely a 2 QB league starter. You know what I mean? Because if you had Jordan Love go down, for example, because we haven't had too many QBs go down as of yet. So, but bad play is definitely there. You know what I mean?
right?
Obviously, Tua, another guy that went down. So maybe after
Mhm.
last week with you know everybody, picking up some QBs after Love, and then there's even less now after Tua. You might want to start considering him, right?
Yeah, and we'll get into that when we talk waivers.
Yeah.
Give me your next riser. Whose stock rose the most? Whose name do you feel is on the radar in fantasy football heading into week 3?
Another guy is JMO. I really like JMO. He went 5 of 11 for
Jameson
79.
Williams.
79.
Yeah,
I'm still kicking myself in the butt for not keeping him in one of our keeper leagues. I think I'm going to feel just a lot of keeper remorse or non-keeper remorse on that guy. And I think he's another guy that just he's on the rise. If anything, I think this is his
yeah.
breakout season. I don't think
Especially
I don't think he'd trade for him or anything. And he's pretty well owned, but he's definitely earned his stock value. If anything, he's definitely where you got him at. He's getting more. You're getting more out of him.
outproducing his ADP.
Yep.
Your expectations. I also like the fact, again, not like the fact that Amon-Ra St. Brown's hurt, but if he is hurt, that can mean JMO's stock, goes up.
Even more.
Laporta's a little down, which we'll get into maybe here in a second. The little teaser. But yeah, so I like that call with Jameson Williams. He was definitely on my risers list. So give me your third top riser in week 2.
I'm just gonna take with an obvious guy is Marvin Harrison, who had like a dud first game, and he comes back for 88 for 130 and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, you got him early in the game, but he showed what he can do, and that's what we want him to do. So, as I mentioned last week, I don't think that's going to happen again. They're going to talk to Kyler Murray and make sure he throws them the ball, and they did. They connected. It's all good. I mean, obviously Arizona was rolling, so it was a really good game for them. But I just feel like that. That after that first week, people were really wondering, hey, this rookie really got it, and he shows what he can do, and he is a pro. So I
For
think it's
sure.
another riser there. I mean, obviously you're paid for the stock on that guy because he was another number 1 draft pick that gave you a dud in week 1. So it was kind of rough.
For sure. For sure. And yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that as well. So yeah, no, not a bad top 3. I'll give you my top 3 here. One guy I want to mention for sure. I think he's starting to become almost a weekly must start until we start to see different. Rashid Shaheed coming out with another big game here this week. I mean, just with the Saints, playing like crazy. I mean, he goes 4 for 96 yards with another touchdown. So back-to-back scoring games. Again, not high volume targets, but I think Derek Carr only threw the ball like 16 times. So if he got four targets and caught all 4 of them, and usually his average depth of target again for 96 yards, like he's running down the field. So if he's connecting that accurately and with a 25% target share in this offense, with Kamara still doing his thing, and again, they did it against Washington, which we kind of were like, it's just Washington. It's one game. Then they come back and did it against this Dallas defense, which I know probably gave you a little bit of respect.
Oh, yeah.
Understanding they neutralized, and we thought Parsons was just going to eat with no ram check there. But they were able to pretty much nullify him. I didn't really hear his name get called too much during that game. They were just, I think they've scored on like 9 straight possessions, or something crazy like that, heading back into last game. The Saints are just the hot team right now. They're on a roll, 2-0. Rashid Shaheed, man, I think he's someone you should look to get. Maybe jumping a little ahead. But yeah, he's definitely one of my he's one of my risers here. Forgot what segment we were in. So yeah, another one I want to point out. It's all right. So I'm gonna go with Zay Flowers. I was thinking of going with a different like position,
Yeah.
but me and these wide receivers, it was stuff I want to see. I think what we've seen, is clearly that he is going to be the almost Amon-Ra St. Brown, if you will, of this Baltimore offense. It was tough to see them not really be able to move the ball against this Raiders defense, which Spillane and a couple of these other guys, Mason Crosby was just kind of wrecking things. Like they have some players on the defensive side of the ball there with the Raiders. I'll give them that. So they kind of have Baltimore shook up. They're 0-2 right now. But I think what we've seen from a target perspective from Zay Flowers, again, coming from someone like Lamar, and the fact that he's always, because of Lamar's, elusiveness, in a scramble drill, Zay Flowers can get behind the defense and be able to make a big play. I mean, I know we're going to be able to see some of those, but I love 10 targets last game, 11 targets this game, 6 catches, 7 catches. Some of them, aren't quite there. But again, this last game, 7 for 11 for 91 and a touchdown, 22.1 full PPR points. Out of this guy who's 5'9", 175, in this kind of, rushing offense with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, getting that type of target share and, that type of attention. And they're finding ways to get him the ball. So I like what I see there in Zay Flowers.
I put him in. I have him like as the third wide receiver, and I was like, I'm gonna try him out, and he did very well this week, and I was happy. I was like, hey, yeah, that's definitely for sure just started for you.
Yeah, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm gonna say like almost two. I honestly can't even believe what I'm about to say, but my biggest riser, man, for especially just for me personally, but also in the fantasy world, Brock Bowers, man. Brock MF and Bowers, man. I'm about to say two good things about the Raiders in one segment. Brock Bowers, man, coming off a 9 for 9 for 98 yards. We knew the Raiders aren't going to score touchdowns, right? So, but this dude right now is sitting at the tight end 2, I believe, overall, so far without even scoring a touchdown at the tight end position. So to me, that's pretty impressive considering there's guys like Laporta and Kelsey and Andrews and all these other guys. This guy comes out. We heard about, his abilities, and Gardner Minshew is targeting in, on him. So 6 for 8 last game for 58 yards. And then again, against this Baltimore defense, which we know is stingy, 9 for 9, and he gets Carolina next. So who knows what's going to happen there. So I stand corrected on Brock Bowers, man. So there you go, Joe. I stand corrected, man. At least I didn't say it with my Niners hat on, so no one can clip that. So there we go, man. So there you go, all you Raiders fans. I stand corrected, but I do at least have one share of him in a dynasty league, so I'm kind of happy about that.
They got somebody pretty good there in Brock Bowers. That's what we're saying here.
There you go. So good job. So Brock Bowers, definitely one of my risers here this week. All right, so let's get into a couple fallers, and then we'll get it moving forward here. So give me one of your biggest fallers here of week 2, Frank. Whose stock just fell out the most for you this week?
Well, we already talked about the aforementioned Bryce Young, right, with 84 yards.
Let's not talk benching or injury. That's the other thing is we're not trying to involve obviously people who get hurt or.
But he is a follower. Come on.
I guess it was based on performance, but
yes, Deshaun Watson, another guy.
There you go. That's better. That's better.
22 of 36 for 186 yards, no touchdowns.
He's still QB9 though.
I don't know what's going on with that. He's a follower as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if that guy's going to keep his job too much longer either. You know what I mean? For as much as they paid for him, they're kind of stuck with that guy. But I don't
QB 12.
Yeah, exactly.
And 6 point.
Zamir White, another guy, 9 for 24, rushing 3 of 4 for 14 yards in receiving. I know you drafted him for more, higher, expected more from this guy.
Not you. Not me.
Yeah. I didn't touch him. Yeah, he's not on my team. Some of you guys thought
that's why I cut the line with the Raider love there.
Exactly. Another really just down situation here is Christian Watson, man. Literally no
zero goosey.
No targets whatsoever, no nothing, dude. And we had really high hopes for him, but this Jordan Love situation is not helping him. It's okay for the other guys so far, so they actually got the win. I mean, they were putting it down. They're Green Bay. So there's another guy that I was looking at. It's just fall. This 3. I mean, you need some more. I mean, because I'll
No,
give you like
3's
3
good.
tight ends.
No, I'm like, yeah, we can go in. No, hey, so all right, so since you started there, I'll start there.
All right.
So my biggest fallers this week, I'm just gonna say the top 5 drafted tight ends. I'm gonna just lump them all basically in
Let's
one,
go with
except
that.
for McBride. Let's just take McBride out and put Pitts right in there since he didn't really do too much tonight. I don't think. I can't remember. I think I heard his name called like once or twice.
Once or twice.
Which hopefully Mike won. I think he had like $100 if Pitts caught like 2 or 3 balls or something like that. That might have been real close. Look that up for me real quick. What was the stat line? But yeah, so I'm going to say my risers are the top 5 tight ends, man. To me, Laporta, just more, kind of heading that field to see, him not really getting the target share, interestingly enough, is the weirdest thing to me. Just his usage, obviously real weird with Amon-Ra St. Brown, the first week. Looks like Joe's saying here 2 for 20. Is that what it was? So, I mean, it's
Pitts?
just, yeah, for Pitts, 2 for 20.
Pitts,
So,
3 receptions, 4 targets, 20 yards.
oh, okay. So we got a third one in there. So Mike, it sounds like Mike won. Oh, so that's good. Oh, Joe says the last one was 11 yarder to beat him. Yeah, that's tough. All right.
11,
So
11 for the long one. That's what he got. 11 yards.
yeah. So just so back to Sam Laporta here. 2 catches, 13 yards for him this week. 4 catches on 4 targets last week. Just hasn't found the end zone yet. Remember, he had 10 touchdowns last year. You could just say it's early. Maybe they're getting themselves going, but remember, they're playing in a dome. Like they have all these things that are, that were really high. They're just going to be this high-powered offense, and just hasn't quite, worked out that way so far. The running backs are eating really well. Gibbs and Demon are doing fantastic. But when it comes to Sam Laporta, and just again these tight ends overall that we drafted as the top 5, we should have went later grade again this year too. Just I'm gonna remember that next year. Just later grade, just always at tight end. All right,
the one thing about it is that everybody's was bad. Like if you think about it this way, even if you drafted them where you drafted them, nobody has that positional advantage on you anyways because
except for Bowers and Kittle,
everybody's been
they're
pretty
killing
bad. Yeah. They're doing all right. I mean, I don't think they.
And Kittle's about to eat with no Debo either, too, and no McCaffrey. Kittle's about to go crazy.
Did he get injured though?
He just went in for IV. He had cramps.
Okay,
He didn't practice like all off season, so he was probably hurting there. All right, so we'll move on here. So I will give my next biggest faller. For me, Jerome Ford. To come out and see him almost like just splitting work and almost didn't even seem like he started. With Devonta Foreman getting some carries in there. I didn't like what I saw to that usage. I want to see him dominate this backfield. He had the opportunity to be worked in the passing game. I'm not going to completely give up on him now, but if he had another big game this week against Jacksonville instead of just 7 for 64, which isn't bad. It's a good rushing average, but only 1 catch for no yards and only 2 targets. Again, I think this is more just kind of Deshaun Watson being Deshaun Watson, and I just can't wait for Winston to get in here. Let's just hope that happens before Chubb comes back for the sake of Ford. So he might be on a buy or sell when we talk on Wednesday. My last faller that I'll put on here is going to be Keon Coleman. I'll go with the other wide receiver that put up a goose egg here this week in week 2, that we were kind of getting those mid rounds that we expected to, at least for me, kind of hopefully pay off if you needed them, especially with, some of the wide receiver situations we lost almost like kind of in week 1 to have to throw them in your lineups week 2 after having a pretty decent day, 5 for 54 week 1. You kind of felt comfortable if you needed them in a spot start in a flex situation. So yeah, tough spot for him. There could be better things ahead. But this offense may not be what it seems. Josh Allen may not be what it seems. It might be the James Cook show, but again, let's not just get too crazy just over 1-3 touchdown game.
I think it was just gameplay, and what they stuck with what's working for them. Why should they go pass it or whatever? And this guy's just rushing down their throat. Had he been stopped, I guarantee you they would have went to the. You know what I mean? Like what I'm saying. It's just game shit. It just basically what fell to them.
We're here to analyze. We're here to analyze.
Yeah. And honestly,
but don't overreact.
I didn't mind him having an off day because I was playing against him, but I also have him, so I'm like always torn about that kind of situation. You know what I mean?
Welcome to multiple leagues. Yeah.
Right.
So whatever happens. Just let it happen.
Right.
Oh man, good stuff. All right, man. So that'll wrap up our risers and fallers segment. We kind of testing that out. Let us guys know what you think about that segment. We kind of replaced our top performers and game balls with something like that. So let us know if that was, a little bit better, conversation for you guys.
Content.
As far as, highlighting some of the top and bottom, or, identifying more of these middle guys that are going up and down versus kind of, what we expect out of these top performers, although it's fun giving out those game balls. So yeah, drop us a chat, drop us a comment, let us know what you think about that segment. Otherwise we will go ahead and move on. Frank, you want to tell the folks here, about who helps us pay the bills here?
Yeah. So, before we get to the, waiver wire ads of the week, we got to talk about Underdog Fantasy, who's the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. We enjoy their best ball. Anthony and I did plenty of best ball tournaments this off season, starting into the season here. We're live streaming all of them, most of the off season. Got a couple of them in there, and now we're doing the pick'ems as the season has started. There's a lot of basically is what's going on with everywhere else is just basically pick'ems are getting done. Where you just simply pick higher on lower on the player stats for total yards and touchdowns. And you could put stacks of them, 2-3 of them, to earn multipliers on them. So they're really fun to get in there. So it's go sign up, use the promo code GetRight. Not only would you receive 50% deposit match, now up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So any deposit exceeding $200 will be capped at $1,000, though. Okay. But you also need you get a special every week. I'm not sure what the special is this week.
I think it's still they're rolling back the CD Lamb again.
Oh,
if not, it might be another one, but this is what I saw on the week 3, so I'm rolling with it.
Well, nice. So if they're rolling back with CD Lamb, awesome. Let's get some of that one going. Because he's been on fire, regardless of win or loss over here with Dallas. He's been putting his work in. So again, download underdogfantasy.com. It's the fastest growing fantasy sports app on your Play Store or App Store, whatever you got on the system. And join us and do a pick'em contest with us today. Best ball's over, but pick'em's still rolling strong.
For sure. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. So with that said, we will roll right into our next segment, which is going to be our top waiver wire ads for the week. Heading into week 3, we will talk about the waiver ads kind of by position versus just our top, guys. So we'll kind of break it down, hopefully, for you guys a little more depth. As far as who you might be looking for, maybe some in, some higher owned leagues and lower stake leagues. But again, we do try to keep it to under 65%. So let's start with the waiver wire ads at the quarterback position. So Frank, do you have any quarterbacks here that you want to mention? We talked about obviously Tua going down. Unfortunately, we have the benching with Bryce Young. Caleb Williams isn't playing well. Who are some quarterbacks that you might want to take a look at here?
I'll give you the aforementioned riser there in Sam Darnold. He is worth a shot out there. Again, decent game, really low, very little ownership. 13% Yahoo, 4% ESPN. I didn't check Sleeper, but obviously it's not that high. In either of these platforms, I don't think he's going to be high in Sleeper. Again, last week he had 17 to 26 for 268 yards. 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. Similar game week 1, 19 to 24 with 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 INT. 15 and 20 respective fantasy points. Looking to face Houston next, and then Green Bay, and then the Jets, which has a rough game there against the Jets. But Houston and Green Bay is doable, and he's been looking good. If you need somebody with Jordan Love and or Tua going down. Some of these guys are available out there in your leagues, and it depends on how deep and how many backups people keep and things like that in your league that you may have some guys available or literally nobody, right?
Yep. And there you go. So another name I'm going to go with here is for one of my top quarterback ads is the QB2 overall in fantasy so far right now, owned in only 21% of leagues on Sleeper, Mr. Derek Carr. And do I say high-powered Saints offense. Never thought I'd say such words in such succession. Ooh, that's like a little tongue twister. Notice how I kind of slowed down and took my time there. I didn't want to have a blooper that someone could cut on me. But yeah, man, Derek Carr, again, 21% owned. Just, again, not having a ton of attempts, but very efficient. 11 completions on only 16 attempts for 243 yards. Again, a lot of big plays to Shaheed. Alvin Kamara doing a lot of things after the catch. 2 touchdowns. Did have a pick this last game. But the game before, 19 completions on 23 attempts for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. 27.3 and 6 point per passing touchdown leagues in week 1, 25.82 in week 2. So he's playing well, and I mean, as long as he's healthy, we've seen him produce, high numbers with guys like Adams and support. Guys like Darren Waller back when he was a real thing before he went to the Giants and got hurt and all that stuff. So he's been able to put these fantasy players in position. So something to keep your eye on, and definitely some faith for you Olave owners, myself included, out there. So who else you got at quarterback that you want to mention?
I'll take a look at Geno Smith, another guy. His low percentage, 34%. Yahoo, 13%. ESPN went for 33 of 44, 327 yards and a touchdown. The kid drew 18 and 17 points, respectively. Basically 18 and 18 the last 2 weeks here against Denver and New England. Looking to match up against Miami, Detroit, and the Giants. Then he finally has a rough matchup with San Francisco. So three pretty decent games coming up. Definitely worth taking a look at over there. Again, another guy with low ownership percentage, good value going forward. And so I definitely take a look at Geno Smith.
There you go. And I would say those 3, maybe Sam Darnold's kind of maybe the lowest one out of those 3. But those 2 guys are guys that you might even be considering in 1 quarterback leagues right now. Absolutely. And 2 quarterback leagues. And definitely if you lost, Love or Tua, someone like Carr, Geno, or even like you said, Darnold would be good, targets to go after. For those that are in maybe deeper super flex leagues, or even some dynasty leagues with deeper benches, these 2 guys might actually be out there. Andy Dalton, obviously coming in for Bryce Young, like you mentioned earlier, only 9% owned on Sleeper. You may or may have the numbers for me there on Yahoo and ESPN. And then also Skylar Thompson, the backup Tutu Tagovailoa. We expect him to miss multiple weeks. So with the bye weeks, coming up here soon, weeks 5 and 6, guys like Jalen Hurts and, a couple guys like that with those week 5, I think Jared Goff, a couple of these guys have some bye weeks coming up. So these are guys in those super flex leagues, especially if you're like me and only drafted 2 and you're like, oh, okay, what's going to happen? These are the guys you were hoping to be available come that time that you didn't have to waste draft capital on. Throw a little fab at them and see if you can add them to your lineups. For those folks,
literally 0 on ESPN, 0 on Yahoo. I think the only reason the Sleeper has people on there is because they have more dynasty stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. So there you go. So basically, he's out there.
Anywhere.
There's your deeper waiver ads for you guys. See, we're trying to help even you guys out that are in these crazy leagues. And of course, if you did have to rank it, Frank, as far as how much fab you're spending on someone like Derek Carr, it's kind of hard at a quarterback position, but just tell me in a range of, you're going to empty it out, you're going to be careful, or just kind of throw something. You don't have to be too specific.
15% max, 15 to 17 max. Geno around 10 or 11.
Yeah, I was thinking 12 maybe.
Yeah. And Darnold, maybe 5 to 8.
Not even. Oh, well, it's different though, because if you're going after those guys and it's those deeper leagues, those are those leagues you might have to actually pay 20%. Yeah. Especially if you're missing a quarterback, you might have people that just want to buy the quarterback because they know they might be able to turn around and trade him to you. And we'll get into that on Wednesday.
Just to block it. Or just
for roster management.
No, I'm playing him next week. You're not starting the quarterback next week.
Exactly. So there could be some gamesmanship like that out there. So that's why I love doing Fab Bigs. It makes it fun seeing what's happened. So any other quarterbacks you kind of want to mention? You had one good. I noticed this week. I'll mention him for you. Actually, Justin Fields. He was your one of your top ads last week. Still only 30. I think he went from like 19 to now 33% owned. So people still not really feeling him a lot here on Sleeper. Maybe a little higher on the other platforms, but Justin Fields looks like he might get the starting job. Tomlin didn't give Wilson the job back. Basically, just said if he plays well, which I think he actually looked pretty decent this week. He has a good defense. He just needs to not turn the ball over, and he might be kind of maybe what the Steelers,
He needs to
offense
just take the
needs.
sacks and not try so hard. He went 117 yards, one touchdown, 8 rushes for 27. He just needs to play smart, hold the ball,
But he
don't
had
turn
he
it
had a
over.
ton of big plays called back because of like holding penalties that weren't
Yeah.
his fault. So
Don't worry,
I actually thought he played well, and it affected some of his stats.
Yeah.
In that game. So he might be Fields for you guys who held on to Fields or had some faith in him this year, especially in those super flex leagues. Seen him go like in the 13th round. I was like, what are you guys even thinking? Kudos to you. You guys had more balls than I did to
I threw
draft
him
someone like him,
in
man.
a best ball league. I was like, well,
Best ball, yeah, that's a little different, but
yeah.
yeah. In a redraft league or like a super flex league, I mean, but he was going like 3 rounds ahead of Wilson, who was named, the starter at the time.
Yeah,
So
really. That's
maybe that
what
just,
was crazy, right?
yeah, maybe
Maybe they
that
knew
tells you a
something.
little more about Wilson. Yeah, maybe they knew. Anybody else you want to mention there? Were you ready to move on to running backs?
We're good. Let's check out the running backs this
All
week.
right, man. Let's get on to running back. So, running back waiver ads for week 2. Let's start with obviously a lot of these, are based on injury. So let's start with the Joe Mixon injury. Looks like again he's going to be okay, but it looks like the guy that came behind him was Cam Akers, 53% owned here on Sleeper. I'm sure you may have his other roster percentages there. But what are your thoughts here on Cam Akers if Joe Mixon misses time? How do you think he looks?
I mean, this is a max man up situation. Obviously, Houston is a nice high power offense. So it's definitely worth a shot to bring him up. He went 7 to 32, 13 long, just one catch. He is only 1% on Yahoo, 1% on ESPN.
See, now I see
widely
3% here
available.
on Sleeper. It's doing that weird thing to me again, so don't trust my percentages here again.
1 to
I
3
don't
is
know.
not so bad. It's not that bad. It's obviously very low. That's all we got to say. So he's definitely widely available because everybody was thinking Joe Mixon's the man, and he has been. But if this injury keeps him out, if you're hurting, you might want to put him in.
Yeah. See, I don't know what to believe because one of these said 64. This one says 4. Oh, well. All right. So the next one I had, the guy that was on the thumbnail, Mr. Carson Steele, the guy who might be potentially coming in to take over here for Isaiah Pacheco, and he's expected to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks. Again, when I checked earlier, it looked like 61% or something percent he was owned. I looked right now, it's 4%. Frank, maybe you can help me out on the other platforms, maybe a little more realistic idea.
Says 4%. Yeah, exactly. Let's see what it says over here.
Yeah, so more like 4% on that side. So that's probably what it is here on this side too. Probably around that for Sleeper. Obviously, maybe a little more because of Dynasty, but yeah. So the only problem with him is again, he might be like a Peyton Hillis, type guy. He might be, again, what did he run? Like a 4.7 or something like that. He was actually even slower than Tyler Algier. So he's probably not going to break any big long runs. But he might be able to score some touchdowns if they get close. Did have that bad fumble, so we don't know how that may affect it. But obviously they still trust him enough. They said they were going to keep it in house. However, they did later on in the day came out that they might be open to reunion with Kareem Hunt, and I think he's going to make a visit. So, and for Kareem Hunt, just real quick before I throw it over to you, Frank, Kareem Hunt is technically still a free agent, so he's not on waivers. So go check your league right now. You can add Kareem Hunt and not even have to wait for waivers to clear. So check that out. Depending on your settings, might be able to take advantage there. So who else you got?
I do have him in a dynasty league, and I've been waiting around, see what happens. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have a reason to drop him, so I was like, I'll just hold on to him. He could be my drop guy later on. Carson Steele is about 3% Yahoo, 2% ESPN. I think we're gonna have to figure out who the get man is, or there's gonna be split carries with him and Samaje Perine. I think P Ryan might get the upper hand, being more of a vet, and it seemed like he was getting more gameplay during even when Pacheco was there. P Ryan's 4% Yahoo, 3% ESPN, and what is he 4% Sleeper? So right there, very low ownership. I'm sorry, 8% on Sleeper for P Ryan. So still very low. He's widely available. It's kind of pick your
Where's
poison.
59? Like I had 59 on there a second ago. Like I don't know which one's correct, so I apologize, guys.
Yeah, no worries.
But just look for him in your leagues. Doesn't matter
I
what the
mean,
percentage is. Just look for the guy.
who do you think is going to be the guy though? That's the question. Is it going to be P Ryan
Right.
or
I think P Ryan at
Steele?
least keeps like the third down role. Let's just see who's going to get those early down work and the goal line touches more importantly. But I think I could easily see it being kind of like P Ryan working in between the 20s, so to speak, and in third down and passing situations because I think he's the better pass blocker and he knows what to do there. And he's more of a threat, I think, in the passing game. And then, if they do get close, I mean, they have a ton of options with Andy Reid, but Steele could just come in there and kind of vulture some touchdowns.
I
Maybe
think
not a
that's
lot
what
of ton of
happened. I
yards,
think
but
that's
yeah,
well said because Steele seems like you're saying slower, but he's a bigger, bulkier running back. When I seen him have one or two plays, I was like, "Ooh, this guy looks
yeah,
pretty good."
way too good.
But it's just not enough. You know what I mean? Like, there's not enough touches. So let's see what happens when he actually gets some work. Maybe go with the younger hand.
For sure,
Depends
for
on
sure.
depends on what your needs are, right? Too as well. I mean, sometimes you don't even have to go after these guys. They're
Hmm.
not going to totally benefit your team, and especially if they're
Yeah,
crapshoot as to who's going to get the work, right?
yeah. And I mean, a lot of the times, I mean, the last real relevant, back out of, out of here's why we're all excited about Pacheco, was Kareem Hunt. Interestingly enough, we've always been so excited about this position in this offense, but no one's really been able to do anything. I think I heard a stat earlier that I don't think any Kansas City Chiefs running back has rushed for over like 600 yards. I don't think, like since Kareem Hunt or something like that in the last couple of years. So
Yeah.
it's been tough. So again, and last thing to consider is it could be CEH. He's on the PUP
Yeah, he's still injured.
NFI list, dealing with that PTSD. Obviously, thoughts go out with him on that. But if he does come back, maybe he's the one who takes kind of that role. Maybe it's a split between him and P Ryan, because of course he's more athletically, I would say, gifted, or at least shown those statistics over Steele. But again, who knows where his head's at when it comes to that. So again, a lot of moving parts. I wouldn't dump a lot of fab on these guys. Maybe just take a shot on which one you think is the best, depending on what you need for your team. And what your settings are. Obviously, if you're in maybe half or non-PPR, maybe you lean more towards Steele. If you're in a full PPR league, maybe your potential target's P Ryan. Either way, this injury to Pacheco to me means we might see 5,000 passing yard Mahomes now, which I would love to see, and get them out of this just run and play defense type offense.
Maybe
And hit a big play here and there.
up, man. Get him to do
Yeah, just get him going again. So yeah, so there we go. I mentioned Devonta Foreman earlier as well too. So just another name to keep an eye out with him starting to get worked in behind Ford. Again, just a name to kind of keep an eye on. We see again. We're going to go back to all the questions in the chat. If you guys do have questions, drop them here in the chat or leave a comment for us if you're watching this later. If you want us to stop what we're doing and get to your super chat or get to your chat right away, you can drop us a super chat. If not, we will answer as many as we can when we get done here with the waiver ads. So with that said, Frank, any other running backs? Are you ready to move on to wide receivers?
No, we're good on the running backs. I don't know about the last one about CEH. I know that he's got that PTSD. I just don't think he's coming back right then for this whole situation. I think that adds even more stress for somebody who's dealing with something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's all a mental game.
Yeah,
at
you
this
never
point
know.
for him. But hopefully he comes back. It would be good because then he would be the guy to pick up. Definitely, if he's the one that's going to be able to play, I would definitely go get CEH over the other two aforementioned guys.
For sure. All right, so let's get into the waiver wire ads at the wide receiver position here, heading into week 3. I'm going to go with the guy I talked about earlier, Rashid Shaheed. Now, I don't know if this is the right right percentage, but I showed him, I believe, at 56% owned earlier, but I will look at it now. Shaheed. Oops, that's Shakir. Rashid Shaheed. Oh, it's 56. It matched for once. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
All right. So there we go.
62% Yahoo, 45% ESPN.
All right. So fits all the metrics under 65% in all platforms. This guy should be 80%, 90% owned by next week. You know, he needs to be there. Again, they get to play Carolina again. They're going to play the Eagles, which seem to be giving up points to the wide receiver position. So, you know, looks like some good matchups, you know, that they have. Rashid Shaheed, until further notice, man, get him on your team if you can. Seems to be out there. If you're hurting that wide receiver with Debo going down, with Puka and Cup and all these guys going down, maybe Amon-Ra banged up, Jamar Chase not doing anything. Rashid Shaheed could be your answer there. Could be this year's league winner if the Saints offense continues to play this way. These are the guys that you kind of take a stab at early. Maybe, you know, dark horse that you didn't think was going to come out there. These are how they always worked. Remember, we thought the Rams offense was going to be one of the worst offenses in the league last year. They have a guy named Kyron and Puka come out and be league winners, top 5, top 10 at their position. So maybe this is Shaheed's time. So go take a look. I'll state my case there. Who do you got for wide receiver? He's like my number one right now.
Is your
kind of
number
feeling
one
Shaheed.
right here?
Yeah. Kind of feeling Shaheed here in week 2. It may not age well, but I'm feeling him right now.
Let's say Alec Pierce here. He's had a pretty good 2 weeks here. Michael Pittman seems to be on the way down right now. You know, he had 7 catches for 52 yards. Pierce has put up some pretty decent numbers. And that's, you know, not too many guys are out there, honestly, for wide receivers. A lot of the guys were already basically taken. Even this guy, he's at 20% Yahoo, 0% ESPN. Last game, he ended up with 5 for 7, 56 yards and a touchdown. He did start the week 1 with 3 for 3, 125 yards and a touchdown. So, you know, he's putting up some decent, you know, touchdowns and numbers and targets now that increased over the last week there. So, you know, I think Richardson likes him better a little bit. You know, I don't know. Well, I don't know what's going on over there, but I know the Pittman I had, you know, drafted higher for him and everything else. So, and here's Alex Pierce just kind of stealing the show, and you know, also getting some looks from Adonai Mitchell over there as well. So you know, all those guys, these 2 guys are eating into Michael Pittman, but I like Alex Pierce.
There you go. Yeah, and of course he was on the thumbnail for us here as well. So good call on that. I'll take this as the next one. I'll take the Rams potential wide receivers. Again, just mentioned Puka and Cup both being out. So you could take a look at Demarcus Robinson. He doesn't quite meet our threshold here. I believe he is owned in more because of last week. He was kind of, I think, took him out of our range. But you could take a look at these other guys now with Cup out, Ty Johnson and Tutu Atwell. I believe they're like in the 60s, low 60s and like 30s for Atwell. So again, we don't know who it's going to be. If you can throw a little bit of fab at these guys to see which one, you know, maybe you could stash and see which one comes to light. But for me, I think Robinson is the real one to own. He looked to take that role once kind of Cooper Cup went down.
Robinson, yeah, I'd agree with that.
And
who we got? Lastly,
yeah, he's 56% rostered. It looks like Robinson. So I guess he is in there. So I'll just take all 3 of them then. So who else you got?
Well, we got the last guy here on the list is Jalen Tolbert. Let's take a look at him. Yeah, he's, you know, getting in there, getting some touches over there in Dallas. It can't always be CD, you know, and we are, you know, passing a lot over there. Really low
targets,
2% Yahoo, 6% ESPN, 9 targets, 6 receptions, 82 yards. Maybe he'll get the touchdown here coming up, but he's getting the looks over there. So let's see what happens here going forward. It's more of a deeper stash on this guy, I say. But you know, depending on your needs and what you're going on in your league, you might want to start, you know, looking for these guys.
For sure. And yeah, I like that as a stash. A good call. You know, one thing I do like to chase is targets because you have to earn targets, and that means you're either getting open or you were designed into a play. But yeah, to have 9 targets is what you kind of want to see from a younger player. You know, and maybe they're trying to do that to open up CD a little more. You got to show, you know, you can't throw it to him 300 times. You know, you got to be able to throw it to somebody else. So somebody else could be a little bit of a threat. This could be your guy. So you never know. Part of a high-powered offense, we've seen Dak get off to slow starts in the past and then just come blazing back and be on an MVP, you know, type level once he gets a little fire lit under him. And the rubber starts to hit the road, so to speak, and that pressure starts spinning on him. Some people are just better under pressure, I guess. When you're in the hot seat, maybe he just performs at his best in that situation. So we'll see what happens. You know, maybe he's just
this game started.
he just signed his check.
Like,
maybe he was just kind of like, all right, maybe he's ready to kick it in gear now. You know, maybe he just partied a little too hard. You know,
I think it was the whole. I think it was the whole team as everybody, dude. Because even Parsons was talking after the game, and he had like a show where he was like everybody equally was not doing their best, playing their best. You know what I mean, and so on.
Yeah.
So I think it was a team loss, and sometimes that happens. You can't win them all, anyways. They weren't planning to go undefeated, so sometimes you got to. Sometimes it's good to take that early, you know, hit to snap you up, slap you up, wake you up, and realize, hey, you gotta come out and win every one of these. These guys ain't gonna give you a gimme, right?
Yeah, definitely not in the NFL.
It doesn't even matter what team it is, even if it's the low team on the football.
Ask Baltimore if winning games in the NFL is easy.
Exactly. Don't look any team over, man, because those guys are they're hungry too, man. They don't want to lose.
They get paid too. All right, so good stuff there. One other honorable mention I have is Jalen Naylor. Obviously, with Addison out, if it does tend to linger a little bit, he did get 3 catches for 54 yards. That's 13.5 yards per target. He did score the touchdown, 3 for 4, and played 93% of the snaps with Addison out. That's what I like to see as well. We're chasing targets. We're chasing. You got to be on the field, right? Being on the field equals targets, equals touches, equals touchdowns, right, Frank?
Yeah.
So that's just back from like our second show ever we did. Yeah, sometimes it's as simple as that. Maybe if Jefferson is a little banged up, look at Jalen Naylor as a potential option here. So only 4% owned for you deeper league guys. Maybe you guillotine guys. Maybe this is someone you can throw into your lineups and get a little production. 14.4 PPR points this week. So there we go. All right, so let's get into tight ends here really quick.
We mention Quentin Johnson?
Yeah, I think he was outside of my range, but since I maybe it wasn't correct. Let me check his roster percentage. Yeah, see, now I only see it at 16%.
7% Yahoo, 4%
okay.
ESPN.
Earlier it showed him at like 80-something% or something. So I was like, oh, I can't put him on there. I think it was like 82%. I was like, really? That many people have QJ still? Just hold on to him.
Yeah.
Exactly, but yeah, so yeah, Quentin Johnston. Good call, Frank. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Quentin Johnston.
5 for 6, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I'm not falling for it, but go ahead. Sorry.
He said, I'm not falling for it. No. Somebody's got to catch the ball. We said that at the beginning of the year. We were hoping it's going to be Josh Palmer, but he hasn't come through. So I'm waiting on that guy. You know, he 2
Ladd
touchdowns.
still developing.
Yeah, Ladd McConkey's still, trying to, be somebody over there. But Quentin Johnston's been there before. He's got a couple years under his belt.
First round pick. He has the pedigree.
Yeah, so let's see what happens with them. Another guy that I liked tonight's game, Darnell Mooney.
Tell him about him, Frank. Tell him about Mooney.
Yeah, I'm telling you, opposite over here of Drake London. Had a really nice night tonight. 3 of 7 targets, 88 yards in the TD, and it was looking like he was getting targeted again. The 3 receptions. The targets is what you're looking for because eventually they'll become the touches and the catches and get the touchdowns for him. So I like that he was involved over there in Atlanta. Kirk looks a lot better. He's only 15% on Yahoo, 63% on ESPN.
31 on Sleeper.
31
Possibly.
on Sleeper. So, suspectedly in Sleeper.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly on Sleeper. So somebody who's out there, I think he's worth a shot, and I like what I've seen. I like that they had a get right game, and things are looking better over there. So
I like that. I like when you do that, Frank. Slip that in there like that. That's
It's
well done.
right?
Well done. Well done. Well done. All right. So you ready to talk a couple of quick tight ends here, man? And let's get to some questions. These people are dying in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Get your
no,
questions. We're about to hit that Q&A section right after this, guys.
Start putting them in there because
Absolutely.
I'm far back.
For sure. So yeah. So you start scrolling up and finding some questions as I lead us in here to the tight ends. So let's talk tight end waiver ads for week 3. One of the guys I have to mention here, Eric Hall and Mike Gesicki. One of these guys, Mike Gesicki, had a big night or afternoon, coming off a 9-target, 7-catch game. Didn't really do anything the week before. My percentages are probably wrong. Let's see. So I show him as 10% rostered here on Sleeper. And, again, 7 for 9 for 91 yards, with no T. Higgins. T might be coming back, so you never know. He also played only 47% of the snaps, which is why I wanted to bring up Eric Hall, because he looked good out there as well, too. Let me see. He didn't have the quite the stat line that Gesicki had, but he had 4 catches on 4 targets for 32 yards. Still scored 9.2 points, which is probably good enough for like tight end 12, like any given week at 9 points. So, he's the up and coming kid, 6'5", 255, big kid, moves well. So yeah, he was one of my sleepers. Guy I've drafted a couple places in best ball. And I think I have him stashed in a couple dynasty leagues as well too. But yeah, Eric Hall, make sure you take a look at him.
Nice. I like him.
Who do you got?
I'm looking at Hunter Henry, 24% Yahoo, 11% ESPN, putting up some decent numbers over there. And I know that at this point, with the way the tight end landscape is, I mean, this guy's like up there in targets. 8 of receptions, 12 targets, 109 yards. Hopefully he gets a touchdown here. But I like the 109. I mean, 12 targets, it's a lot. Over there in New England. So they're obviously, targeting them as the weaker quarterbacks or the setup that they got. Only 24% on Yahoo, 11% on ESPN. So definitely let's take a look at him.
There you go, Hunter Henry. One of my most drafted tight ends in best ball. So I definitely had a good week in a lot of my best ball teams there. Unfortunately, didn't do anything the week before. So a lot of those teams I had him on didn't really do that great. So we'll see. But nobody's really doing good at tight end unless you had Isaiah Likely or George Kittle.
Terrible.
Yeah. All right. So good stuff. So that's our top waiver wire ads. We appreciate you guys for checking that out with us. So let's get into what you guys all came here for. Some live Q&A. So if you have your questions, drop them in the chat. We're going to scroll back up to the top here and just kind of go down until we get to the end. If you want to jump in front of somebody, you can always drop us a super chat, or if you just enjoy what we're saying and the info we're sharing with you guys, we'd appreciate the support as well. You can always just drop us a super chat and say, good job, fellas. So we won't mind that as well. But let's get to it, man. So Season was back in here. One of the first questions here, just saying, does that last drive for the Falcons give you guys more confidence or still a major worry? Let's answer it. I think at the time we were talking about Drake London. So answer just Drake London in itself, or just as far as the Falcons offense as a whole, maybe that trio of Cousins, Bijan, or quadruplets. What do you say, quadruplets? With Pitts, if you want to throw that in there as well too.
I think that gave me more confidence in the Falcons. I think, again, as I mentioned, it was a get-right game for them. And, Kirk Cousins even said right after the game, they're still, working on things. There's room for improvement. And, I like what, again, what he did. Just that final drive, they were just 10, 20-yard chunks. They didn't have much time. The Eagles did mess up by that whole pass to Barkley that he dropped, that he didn't make a catch on.
It's
and
brutal.
Left all that time on there. They should have just ran the ball one more time. What was so hard about that? Literally, what was so hard about that? Could have put that game away.
Sirani, good for him. I'm glad they lost.
It open for them. So
glad they lost.
They got what they deserved. To seem like. Hold on, let me click. But yeah, no, it gives me more confidence in the Falcons and the Falcons players. Like I said, I'm willing to even start taking a look at Darnell Mooney, who's hardly even owned. So there
you go. Good stuff. Season, just my quick take on that. it gives me a little more confidence because again, we knew it was going to take a little time with Kirk Cousins coming back from that Achilles. So I think if we kept seeing it, after a couple weeks, then we'd say, okay, maybe he's not ready. Maybe we're calling for Michael Penix Jr. But you'd like to see what they built off of there. This could be one of those wins that gets them, pumped up going into the link and getting a big win like that. I don't know if you guys saw pregame, but Ray McLeod went in there wearing an Eagles Cunningham jersey. So wow. you're going in and play, to the opposition with their home team's opposite team's jersey on. That's pretty crazy and wild. I don't know if I've seen that before, but that's mind games. They knew they were going in there and winning. As soon as I seen that, I was like, Atlanta got this. So they're in that right mindset. You showing up in the other team's jersey. That's awesome. So we have Ravens for show, I always want to say Ravens for show, but Ravens show, yo. He says AJ Brown, Debo, and Puka out for the next few weeks, and his main leagues he's hurting. Let's see, we talked about about that here. Yeah, there you go.
Like Willie 77. I don't want to not answer your question, but this is more of a a kind of a trade question that we do Wednesdays and things like that, where we're trying to look at roster management and trade show, things like that. But we'll at least take a look at it real quick. I love Mahomes. Have Mahomes, Achane, Mason, Collins, London, and Bowers and Worthy. What do you think? Who should I trade? Some people or hold this lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I personally really like this lineup. Like, if anything, you're not feeling too comfortable with London, then maybe you could move off of him. But Bowers is up and coming, as you probably heard throughout the show. This question was asked, when we first thought. He was obviously one of my risers. And I think, I'm not freaking out, panicking on London yet. We like, what's coming there. Achane could ball out here without Tua now, and maybe them not wanting to throw downfield. And we've seen what that offense looks like running through him, which was pretty exciting on Thursday. Sorry for the Waddle and Hill owners. It might be a little tough. And then obviously Mason's good here for next, probably 4 or 5 weeks. So another month. Collins looks like an alpha wide receiver one right now. He's balling. And Worthy, he's just boomer bust, man. Like, you got to just deal and live with that. And you have the stack with Mahomes, so he's going to win you weeks, and you just hope he doesn't lose you weeks. But you have other guys who can win you leagues. So personally, I'd kind of hold with this core right here, and maybe just kind of shore up your bench and your depth behind that. But I feel comfortable rolling this lineup out every week. Especially with the landscape of injuries, the fact that you've managed to capitalize off that, it looks like, with Mason, or maybe he is the CMC owner as well. I'd like it even more if he has someone like CMC coming back to this lineup.
I think the other thing that you could do is wait for a good week on Worthy and see if you could trade off, or even London now if you're not comfortable with them. I think that after this game, you should feel a lot more comfortable that they were able to come down March, get that win, and just hold their own against Philly. I mean, Philly's got a good defense, good offense, everything's going. Pretty good team over there. It's not an easy win to go away and get that win at that.
For sure.
So, you know what I mean? So I think you should be better.
For sure. Joe Lewis, what's up, Joel? How's it going, man? Oh yeah. First he said Steeler Allen.
We didn't get a chance to talk about Allen, and I wanted to mention, because I think I even
like Keenan Allen. Are we talking about Keenan Allen?
Braylon Allen.
Oh, Braylon Allen. That's right. Allen. 2 touchdown game.
9 for 56 with 2 touchdowns. He might be into Brees Hall. Brees Hall touches. So I don't know who you thinking you're going to take, Steele or Allen. At this point, I might like Allen over Steele. Tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking like who, I'm the only difference right now that makes him even closer is the fact that Pacheco is out for like 6 to 8 weeks. So that's why maybe you lean on Steele. But like, as we talked about throughout the show, again, this was asked before we got into the show, when we talked about all the running backs and how did we not have Allen in here? I forgot.
I had it in my
I had him too. And just like, I don't know how we made it through. But yeah, so we appreciate you, Joel. Like, we should throw you a subscribe for bringing this up and making sure we talk about him. But yeah, man, I mean, I think he's just a clear handcuff. He's one of these guys like Mason, where if Brees were to go down, which he was banged up, and one of the times he scored a touchdown, he was on the exercise bike on the sideline, getting looked at. Nothing came out. No injury designation, anything that I saw or heard. And he came back in, but. He's a beast, man. He rumbles. He looks like he's an NFL running back, man. I like what I've seen in the touches he's had so far. Even against the Niners, he had a nice run as well too against that defense. So yeah, I would probably, again, just depends what you need. If you're sitting in a good spot and you don't have any injuries you're dealing with right now, then absolutely go Allen over Steele. If you are, needing a running back for like this week, you might have to roll the dice with Steele. I don't know what you can rely on Allen. He's not going to score 2 touchdowns every week.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to score 2 touchdowns. I just think they might start splitting some carries over there. Maybe, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think they might want to keep Brees Hall a little fresh, a little healthier, so on and so forth.
Right.
To get him for the end.
You can't have 100% of the touches, right? Like that just can't happen.
100. Yeah, that's not getting 100. So, but if he gets 30 to 40,
Percent,
35
yeah.
somewhere percent of
Yeah.
the touches, that's not bad.
25, 30.
I'm not sure what's, again, we're still trying to figure out if it's going to be Steele, somebody else over there,
P. Ryan,
Ryan,
CH,
or
Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt. There's a whole bunch of guys going to be happening.
It's Allen if Brees goes down.
Yeah,
it's just he's not down.
Exactly.
And please don't go down. We don't need Brees to go down.
We don't need that.
There's already too much. Yeah, we've already dealt with enough. It's just week 2. All right, so let's get to a second question here. So we talked about it again, but it looks like he's potentially good enough to go this week. Maybe you and I both think maybe they just sit him for a week, roll with Cam Akers for at least a week. With their position being division, I think they're the only 2-0 in their division right now. So, yeah. All in one show. He says trade Chase for Bijan and Pollard. So you trade if it's Chase Brown, then yes. No, I assume it's Jamar Chase for Bijan and Pollard. Are you taking this deal?
And he's 0-2, and these running backs. This is Pacheco, Jacobs, Ford, Mostert are my running backs. So Pacheco goes down on him. He's got Josh.
And his receivers are Flower, London, Waddle, Higgins without Chase. So the fact that maybe Higgins is coming back could potentially help you here. If London plays good, I like Flowers right now. I don't know if he's a wide receiver 1. I would like it more if Tua wasn't hurt right now. I think that really does hurt Waddle more. I think Hill's a little safer than Waddle. I'd hate to lose Chase right now. At least you're getting Bijan back. I just don't think you need it. So, I feel, I don't know what you think, but I'm good with Josh Jacobs and Bijan. Who's another receiver? So instead of getting Bijan and Pollard, can you get Bijan and somebody else? As far as a receiver goes, that's who I'd want to look at.
Target in that trade.
Yeah, getting another receiver back with some
I'd be
upside.
happy with even those 2 guys for Chase. I'd take Bijan and Pollard for Chase.
Would you take Bijan and Rashid Shaheed over Pollard just to not lose your depth in that wide receiver room? So if you were Flowers, London, Waddle, Higgins, and Shaheed,
I'd rather somebody more for sure than Shaheed. Shaheed's a riser.
Yeah, he's more like Shaheed's more like a waiver target versus a trade.
Pollard's more like he got drafted and he was in there. You know what I mean?
And he's the clear one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it would give you 3 nice running backs right now. But I'd still feel like I had someone like Bijan who he actually probably drafted ahead of Chase. So when you think about it that way, I mean, you're taking a guy who you got after Bijan and you're getting Pollard with it. It's definitely a trade in your favor. So it's a good trade. So it just depends on, do you want to feel, are you good with those wide receivers? Me personally,
Ford is not doing better for you because you wouldn't have to be doing it.
Yeah, but you know me with Anchor RB or Hero RB, so I'm good as long as I have Bijan and Jacobs. I feel like I'm still okay there with Ford as my RB3, and then I'd rather have that wide receiver.
Pacheco and Mostert,
yeah. I mean, I don't think you can AJ Brown, but if someone, maybe you can get Puka Nacua, who's hurt right now, even. If you feel comfortable with those wide receivers, if he's the guy who has Puka or someone like that, maybe even get Justin Watson even thrown in there. You can buy low, shout out to the Wednesday show. But yeah, so you get me talking trades, guys, on Overreaction Monday. I get crazy. All right, so go Jackson.
So what's going on? Just got a blockbuster trade offer. I sent Ken Walker, Zach Sharp, Olave, HN4, Amon Ra, and Kyron Williams, Brian Thomas Jr., PPR. I have Mason and Derrick Henry. Should I do it?
I'm a hard no on that. What about you?
Again, hold on. Let me look at it again because that was a lot to So he's trying to send Ken Walker, Zach, Charbonnet, Olave, HN for Amon Ra, and Kyron Williams, Brian Brian Thomas Jr. No.
The
No.
Seahawks running back has been producing as a solid top end RB2, borderline RB1. Olave had a bad week 1, decent week 2. He should be doing better, especially if the offense is playing well.
H-Hand's doing very well.
Blowing up. I mean, for Brian Thomas, Amon-Ra, and Kyron.
Yeah, Ken Walker's the one that got injured, right?
Yeah.
Ken Walker
I mean, the
injured,
whole Rams team is decimated. That offensive line is decimated. Amon-Ra's banged up now.
Up. Kyron's doing
and
a little
J-Mo's
bit, but not that much.
Yeah, and J-Mo's a thing.
Yeah, I like Brian Thomas, but I'd still no. It's a no.
I think you're missing a piece. Like, you need another piece in there too. Like, you're giving way, way too much. So either like take some off your side. Like, if you could trade Ken Walker, or I'm sorry, if you could trade Olave and Achane for Amon-Ra, Kyron Williams, and Brian Thomas, then I would do something like that.
At this point, now we need to see the whole league, just the whole team, just to see what your needs are or why you're trying to off on these guys. Because I would not be doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what's the end point for that?
For sure. Or give Mason, because CMC will probably come back, and when he comes back, like, he's going to be a league winner. So, I mean, he was drafted at the 101 for a reason. He's not going to be talented once he's healthy. Like, that talent's still there. Plus, he's not going to have 6 or 8 weeks of touches on him so far. So he's going to be fresh for the stretch run.
I remember 2 years ago when he first got to San Francisco and he finally came back, played a game or 2 or whatever. He ended up like 40, 45, and then he got injured again, though. Remember? You had him. you traded for him.
He's been fine ever since. Yeah.
Well, you traded for him that year. I'm not sure if it was San Francisco or not, but you traded for an injured CMC and only got a few games out of him.
Oh, yeah, but that was when he was still in Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
Anyway, we'll move on. Yeah. Yeah, like when he plays, he's going to get you 25 or more. It's just, is he going to play? All right. Let's see. So I think they were all kind of talking about that. What's our next question? 2K plays says, or it doesn't say. What was it again? Go ahead. I'll go back to the other one.
Powers in for Laporta. Because Sam's not doing too good.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I'll get to his question. He said, "What are we thinking about DeMarcus Robinson?" We kind of talked about that during the show. I think he's the wide receiver 1 until further notice. Let's just hope the targets, follow him and he can have that type of production. But again, he's an older wide receiver. He's been in the league for a while, but he knows this offense. And let's see what he can do. He's definitely going to have the opportunity. So if you need a shot on somebody, the
downside is that so many injuries over there, the Rams, like you were talking about the O-line and everybody else.
Right.
So yeah, he's like de facto number 1 with Kupp and Puka out. But what's the production going to be like anyways now? You know what I mean? Like their whole team is in injury situation, period. You know what I mean?
For sure. Let's see.
Here's Trey asking.
Yeah. Oh, we were on the same one. Go ahead.
I got number 1 waiver. Should I go for Bucky?
Depends on who else is, out there and what your needs are. But with Rashad dealing with the groin injury, could flare up at any time. And he's already a better rusher, I think, than Rashad White. And if he gets the full opportunity, there's really nobody behind Bucky after that. So, again, depends on who else is there. Like, I like Shaheed. I like some of these other guys maybe a little more. But I would take Bucky over any Kansas City guy.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I thought he had a decent game first game. This second game, he went 7 attempts for 22 yards, 3.1 yard average. Who else?
I mean, he was one of our ads last week. Did we even talk about him here this week?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about him this week.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess he's still only 41% owned. So I just kind of assumed everybody kind of still owned him already.
Who else is out there? What are your needs? You know what I mean? Like, let's check it out.
For sure. So let us know, Trey, if you're still here. We'd be happy to talk you through that. George is asking, do I pick up JSN, Shaheed, Braylon Allen, or Carson Steele? He has his whole squad here. So it looks like he has Murray, Barkley, Gibbs, Moore. I assume that's DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Kittle. With his flexes, Mason, his benches, Trey Benson, Gorham, Brian Robinson. Let's go, my guy, Javonte Irving, Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell, and Zay Flowers. Let's go. You're probably going to be starting Zay Flowers. I would honestly so yes, I would. pick up one of those guys, I would pick up in this situation. Of course, I'm going to kind of stay on point. It's really close to me between JSN and Shaheed. Does he have any conflicting players where he's not doubled up if he takes these guys? No, so he can pretty much take any of these guys openly without any double ups. Yeah, so I don't know, Frank. What are you between on this one? This one's tough for me between Jason and Shaheed.
Well, I know Waddle's going to have some issues, and that's why you're leaning for wide receiver. He's looking good with Barkley and Gibbs, and obviously Flex and Mason. Brian,
I feel like his running backs are
So
solid.
his running backs is good. The wide receivers is what he's going to need some help on. So yeah, JSN or Shaheed. I need to see more JSN, and Shaheed's and that offense over there in New Orleans is like beaten like no other. Like you
Just don't have the
mentioned.
volume though. He's only getting 4 catches.
Yeah. I still like
Jackson just came off what, like 12 targets, wasn't it?
They only got 4 catches because they were running so well. They're not always.
That's what I
gonna
mean.
run that
He
well.
just had 16 targets, bro. Like 12 catches on 16 targets.
Who's that? JSN?
Yes.
That's a lot.
So, but like Shaheed's like a big play guy, but yeah, I mean, 12 catches for 16 and 117. And that was also with DK Metcalf going over 100 and scoring a 56-yard touchdown and was missed on another potential 40-plus yard touchdown as well, too. I just like what this Seattle passing offense is going to do, especially with Ken Walker a little banged up. Like, maybe they tend to air it out a little more. They get Miami coming up. They get Detroit. They get the Giants. They get San Francisco. They get Atlanta, Buffalo, and then the Rams, and then a bye week. So, like, you're going to have to throw in all those games. Like, I don't know. I like what I seen. 83% snap share, up from 79% last year. I think I talked myself into JSN over Shaheed even. Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's 81%
JSN
rostered. Why he didn't come up as a waiver target, but like this is a guy who needs to be owned. If he's out there, he should be on a roster.
Yeah, so if you're able to pick him up, pick up JSN first.
Yeah, and who am I? If we have to drop one, I don't know. Does the Barkley job get affected moving forward? Confidence? No, not at all. As far as Barkley's confidence, no. Checkmate. Now we'll take trade questions. It's just we'll probably be able to give you a better answer on Wednesday. But I mean, we'll still take it because you're here. As long as you throw us a subscribe, man. And always we'll take any question if it's a super chat. That's for sure. We won't even say, "Oh, ask this better on Wednesday." So there's always that option. But yeah. So what do you think, Frank? To wrap this one up, who are you dropping? That's what I'm getting at. Who are you dropping if you're picking up Jason? I'm dropping Corum. Actually, given all the injuries. Like even if Kyron gets hurt, like it's just another player hurt on the Rams. Like I'm not like, oh, Corum, so exciting. With no anybody else. So that's my opinion.
Or Benson.
No, I think because that's still a high-powered offense, the Cardinals. If Connor goes down, Benson's going to be the guy.
Yeah, but he's still just a handcuff right now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so if you put him in a vacuum, Connor goes down, Kyron Williams goes down, who do you want out of the two? You want Benson because Corum's entire rest of his team is still hurt.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm not saying that he should go. I'm just saying those are the two guys that I would be looking to drop.
Okay. So your preference. I don't know. I was trying to convince you.
No, you can convince me. Either one of those guys I think are expendable.
You're just whatever, either way. Okay. Yeah. I still like the upside a little more with Benson, so I would drop Corum. Honestly, I'm surprised people didn't say I would drop Javonte. Honestly, I'd probably drop Javonte if you really asked me, but Javonte wouldn't even be on my team. The Corum, Benson, Brian Robinson, like that would be Brian Thomas Jr., A.D. Mitchell, Zay Flowers. Like that would be a real decision for me to have to make. And in that case, it would be Corum that I would drop. So let's see. Silver Money says, in Dynasty, Gibbs for Devonta Smith and Pacheco. I don't think you can, and I'm one of the biggest Smith and Pacheco fans. If you're not contending, which if you got a high draft pick, who knows what happened there with Gibbs? It could have been somebody else's pick. What do you think on this one, Frank? This one's tough for me. I mean, a lot of it depends on build and construction and full PPR and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I love like you're
I
getting
would
two
take Devontae
quality
Smith and
players.
Pacheco in Dynasty, especially because it's Dynasty, because you're going to have Pacheco next year or whenever he gets healthier again. Devontae Smith is doing pretty well over there, and I'm not sold on Gibbs. I'm more of a David Montgomery's going to be always eating at his touches, and it'd be the next man up for Gibbs and whatnot.
Gibbs has been balling too, but just quietly.
Yeah, I'm just
They
saying
they limit each other's upside. They're both like fantastic RB1s.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's why I like Devontae Smith and Pacheco's side because of that.
Yeah. That's tough. I'd ask for a pick, like maybe you can get a second as well too. Like obviously ask for a first, but I would say a second. But I don't mind
Here
getting
comes
a
the
younger
teeth
wide
pulling that
receiver
Anthony
too.
does right there. Let me
Yeah,
just get a second also.
just throw another second in there. And only because too, I also like it because you're getting a wide receiver, which in Dynasty I'd rather build around wide receivers and have that position, locked in a little more. Especially in full PPR Dynasty for starting 2 or 3 wide receivers plus multiple fluxes. So yeah. Let alone when AJ Brown's out like this, he should ball out. Appreciate it, Sober Money. Hopefully hit that subscribe button for us. If not, hopefully hit it for us here. Hit that like button for us as well. Checkmate says CMC Mason backfield reminds me of back in the day with Priest Holmes and Larry Johnson. Yeah, they kind of kept replacing each other there. But what are 2 great fantasy names right there, man? Remember those days? That was back when, oh God, Priest Holmes, he was like the 101s of all ones, man. Oh my God. I mean, every Kansas City offense, remember with Jamal Charles, like you wanted that running back in that offense.
Going over there. That's gonna be good.
That was good stuff. Let's see. We got Chompy here saying his Cardinals put the NFC on notice on Sunday. Marvin Harrison Jr. out here looking like a young Randy Moss. Let's go, baby. Go back and watch that trade episode. Hopefully you guys listen to me and put offers out for Marvin Harrison Jr. in every league that you're in to see if they were panicking, because we told you that type of talent doesn't get you can't keep that contained. It's gonna burst out, man. It's gonna burst out. So congratulations on your Cardinals, man. I'm a Niners fan, so naturally we're against each other. But when it comes to the world of fantasy, I'm actually the most invested in the Cardinals right now. Let's see. Any other questions you see here?
Cam the Horn just mentioned his teams. Tina Rogers is neighbors for Pacheco and McLaurin. A lot of trades going on here.
Yeah, no, I'm keeping neighbors. I'm keeping neighbors on that side of it. It's not great. He has tough matchups coming up. But with her Pacheco, I'm not the biggest McLaurin fan. So if you're going to take Pacheco back, I still need a better wide receiver for neighbors at the moment. So that's my opinion on it.
Malik
Still don't
Neighbors
trust
is
Daniel
only
Jones.
good
It
over
was
there.
just Washington. But
Yeah,
18 targets.
8 targets, 8 of 10, basically. He caught 8 of 10 targets, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Malik Neighbors.
No, 18. Look at that difference. 18 targets, bro. He's the first one to do that since Puka Nacua in his rookie year. Only one to do it. Have 18 targets in a game. You would thought he did more with 18 targets, though. It's the Daniel Jones effect.
Oh, that's right. 10 to 18.
You see 18? Or am I tripping?
I miswrote that then.
Oh, okay. So you just forgot the one. It was there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Let's see. I feel like I missed Cam's.
So yeah, we like all the targets that Neighbors is getting. So, and then you're trying to pick up a hurt Pacheco and McLaurin. So, I'm not sure if you're going for him. I guess she's going for him, right? Getting Neighbors, dropping Pacheco and McLaurin. If you could get Neighbors for that, do it. If it's the other way, don't do it. Keep Neighbors, whatever Neighbors side, do that side.
Right. Tina was here. Did we miss something by Tina?
No.
She's putting the question marks. I don't know.
She's just question mark after that, meaning like
okay. Maybe that's why. So George also trade question from my squad. Should I trade Brian Robinson for Jameson? If you need a wide receiver, yeah, I think this is a pretty even trade. Both sides. Like I'd be happy either way for it, based on where you drafted these guys. They went fairly close. If you need a running back, the other person needs a wide receiver. I think it works out for the both of you guys. I think you're getting fair value on both sides.
Notice this guy got the same question. Max Rogers, Neighbors for Pacheco's and McLaurin.
Huh.
Is that like the standard?
Is that what the trade that's going on right now? Yeah, still the Neighbors side for me.
Neighbors. Yeah, we haven't changed from that. Keep Neighbors.
All right. Do I keep Neighbors? Oh, Neighbors again. We're gonna have to put Neighbors in the trade talk on Wednesday. Do I keep Neighbors or Deontay Johnson? Yeah, we gotta let Classic Mike know. Put Neighbors in the
Neighbors or Drake
in the thumbnail.
Just Deontay Johnson right now out of nowhere. Drake London
looking to move one. I would probably keep London and sell Neighbors just because I don't believe in Daniel Jones, and you might be able to get a lot off Neighbors off 127 and a touchdown and 18 targets.
Yeah, I agree with Anthony. Keep Drake London. I
There
have
we go.
more faith in that.
What's up,
than
Warrior Loft?
anything with the Giants, period, right now.
There we go.
But I mean, with that kind of target numbers, but sometimes you just can't do much with it, anyways. But
For sure. He says, "How's your evening?" A lot, almost, or a lot of injuries this week, and I assume that's what he was saying. Rasta, good game this week. What's up, Wicked? I don't know which league that was, man. Did we play each other? I was just focused on me, man. I'm sure we did. I think we're in the Guillotine League. I don't know. Oh no, I think it was the Got Left League. It's one of those leagues. Too many leagues. But I'm going through them. I'll be going through them soon here. See who I lost to and see what's going on. So let's see. What is your project on or projection on steals or steal? We kind of talked about it if you want to go back to the running back situation, but just real quickly, we think he might be more like the plotter, maybe the goal line guy, short yardage. P Ryan's more your PPR target. I think it's kind of just in summary, right? What we said about Steele.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably not going to break away a lot. And with the offense that they have, they probably don't really need to go through the running back. They can just put it on Mahomes and let him just start picking offenses apart.
See, he's even sad, sadly
he just traded Neighbors for DJ Moore last week. Yeah, that's a tough trade because Caleb looks almost just as bad as Daniel Jones right now, unfortunately.
Yeah.
he was an honorable mention on one of my followers this week. Kirk O'Chain's just warming up. Yep, there he goes. We're almost done here. Go ahead.
Andre says, "Who's a receiver you guys think I could realistically get with a Rashad White and Neighbors package?" Oh, so now he's.
Well, I'm gonna always tell you try for someone like Jamar Chase, right? That's like a total buy low type candidate. See if you can capitalize on that, especially if the other guy has maybe a little bit of running back issues. Maybe just lost Pacheco for 6 to 8 weeks. Maybe he could deal with Rashad in a little groin situation and might say, 18 targets is more than Jamar Chase has had, even if they are coming from Daniel Jones. But I would start with Chase and kind of just work my way down with AJ Brown, who's hurt right now, missing multiple weeks. Like just start kind of from there and, just kind of work your way down the list. I would stay away from Pacheco, though. I'd stay away from Puka and Cup right now. But those other two I would definitely go for. What about you, Frank? Who else are you trying to target with that type of package?
Sure, I'd try to target like a Chris Godwin.
Ooh, that's a good name.
Yeah, I think that's where you're kind of reach for. I don't think you're going to be able to get like the Nico.
I would actually rather prefer Evans.
But
I would maybe settle for Godwin.
I don't think you can get Evans. I think you can settle for Godwin's. I might even go for Brandon Ayuk, especially now with this whole Debo being down and everything that's going on over there. Hold on 1 second. I'm dying. Give me a second.
You're good. So let me see. Other wide receivers that you could potentially take a look at. Maybe you can get someone like Rashee Rice with that type of package. I doubt it. You're probably not getting Marvin Harrison Jr. with it. You probably could have got it last week if you'd made that offer. Maybe you could buy low on Amon-Ra St. Brown if that owner is kind of freaking out right now. I would do something like that. Again, AJ Brown. Maybe you can go after Garrett Wilson, and maybe even get a little something more on top of Garrett Wilson, even in return. And I'd say that's kind of about it. Other than that, like, would you take someone like Olave or like Drake London? Like, would you take guys like that over Neighbors? Like, they were going basically like the same round.
They're around the same place, so.
Yeah, I think I would just stick with Neighbors and just try to rely off that volume, especially in full PPR.
Yeah, that's going to help in full PPR because you're going to
get.
He's getting
so
peppered.
That's about it. I hope that's a good enough list for you there, Andre. Hopefully that was enough to hit that subscribe button for us here. We got Nino back in here saying, but would you trade Devonta for Rashee Rice? Yeah, give me Rashee Rice.
Yes, get Rashee Rice.
Although I do have to stand a little bit corrected on Adams. He had a good week, but granted, he was saved by a touchdown like right at the end and some weird miracle comeback that they somehow pulled off. If not, he wouldn't have had like 110 and a touchdown. So you can kind of come at me, but I'm still not buying it. Brock Bowers, I'm buying into that. not buying Devontae still.
So do you think Dalton will have any fantasy impact, or is Carolina just a lost cause at this point?
I think Andy Dalton helps out Deontay Johnson a little bit more, as well as Adam Thielen. I think that's going to help them two out a little bit. But other than that, I mean, maybe like in super flex leagues, just to give you a guy, if you're trying to get by until Love or someone gets back. But honestly, I think there's probably a handful of, like, if you drafted heavy wide receiver and like a hero RB build in a super flex, you might be able to throw. Like, would you rather play Andy Dalton or like Brian Thomas Jr. in your super flex?
Brian Thomas Jr.
Right? So like that's what I'm saying. Like there's a certain level of guy that I would almost probably play ahead of time until I like see it. Like if Andy starts putting up 25-point games, then okay, then you could throw him in there. But if you just ask me next week, Brian Thomas Jr. or Andy Dalton in my super flex, I'm probably gonna roll Brian Thomas Jr. for the first week and see what happens. So that's just me. Wicked said, appreciate the advice, the real fantasy goats, man. So we appreciate that, man. Not too bad. Last time I think we went 1:38, not too much longer here. I got to a lot of questions from you guys. We really appreciate it. That's what it's all about.
Injuries.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of injuries, ton of things going around. Again, let us know what you thought about the new segment here tonight. Let us know if you like the risers and fallers discussion, or if you prefer us to bring back the top performers in game balls. Do you guys kind of like that little recap and knowing who the top 5 were for the week, and kind of who we want to point out as our top guy of the week? So yeah, just let us know. Leave us a comment. Of course, drop it here in the chat for us. Before we get out of here, we do have to tell you guys about the folks that made that live Q&A section happen, or segment happen. Our boys over at trophysmack.com. So, really there's no other better way to kind of celebrate a fantasy championship by getting a ring like this, or even like a belt, a chain. They have even just your regular type trophies, but these aren't just regular trophies. They're fully customizable, a ton of different options. So make sure you guys go down in the description, use that link for trophysmack.com, and you can browse the different variety of different trophies and things that they do have. Again, all fully customizable to be able to take your league to the next level. So make sure you guys check it out. Use that promo code GetRight at checkout, and that helps support the channel. So again, we appreciate those folks over at trophysmack.com. They're awesome, man. And I have one of the rings here myself, and a couple belts not too far from me. So we'll see how it goes. All right, man. So other than that, you want to tell them about our folks, or their affiliate channels here, and so boy Tycoon coming on tomorrow night and all that?
We got guys at Fantasy Tavern over here. As Anthony just mentioned, Tycoon's in here as well with the Fantasy Boardroom coming in tomorrow. We got Phil Ruskin here with the Extra Point. We also soon to come in was Cody and Zach with the Sweet Life of Football. So we got all kinds of guys. Check them all out on the description, right? There's their links and everything else. You can subscribe to them or just watch them on our channel as well. So support our other partners that we have here that are putting out content for you guys literally almost daily here. So if there's anything you guys need, let us know. The feedback's appreciated. Again, about the new segments today and what we got going on in the show. Yeah, thank you for watching.
For sure.
Please like.
Absolutely. Well said, man. Yeah, no, well said. So we'll get out of here, man. I'll leave it at that. From all of us here at Get Right, again, we appreciate it. Best of luck to you on your waiver wire ads. Go fill out your team, start throwing some trades out there. We've seen how things can change just in 1 week with our perspectives. So again, get out there and let's play this game. Let's have fun, and let's just hope no one else gets hurt, man. So from all of us here at Get Right Fantasy, for Dustin, for Classic Mike, for Tycoon, of course, my boy Frank right here, from our boys Phil and Kendall. We appreciate all you guys. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Jack, Cody, all the guys here at Get Right, man. We appreciate it. You guys have a good evening, and Frank and I will be back here with you guys on Wednesday for roster management, buy, sell, trade targets.
Sure.
Let's get out of here, Frank.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Wanted to write fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided.